Welcome back to the journey of Zen Stories, where ancient teachings are breathed into the rhythm of modern life. Amid all the chaos, amid the emotional wounds you sometimes don't even know how to name, today I invite you to sit down for a moment. Inhale gently. Exhale deeply. So your mind has enough space to receive an important truth. You did not meet a narcissist by accident. You were placed in their life, and they stepped into yours for a reason deeper than you think. In the teachings, no encounter is random. Every person appears as a mirror, reflecting what you need to learn, what you need to see, or what you need to let go. And sometimes the paradox is this: the person who causes you the most pain is the one who pushes you closest to wisdom. Like fire melting metal, those controlling and chaotic individuals arrive to reveal the weaknesses you have hidden, the boundaries you never dared to cross, and the truths you didn't want to face. And then, in the moment you feel you are being crushed, the teachings open another door. No suffering is meaningless, and no one appears just to break you. Every interaction, every conversation, every heavy silence is guiding you back toward your true inner strength. Ancient Zen stories say that sometimes a person comes to awaken the part of you that has been asleep for too long. The part that knows self-respect, knows boundaries, knows what is worthy and what must be released. And only when you step out of those beautiful illusions can you see what Zen has always reminded you of. Truth liberates you, even when it arrives with very deep cuts. Today, as you sit here listening to these gentle words woven into your breath, let your mind soften, because you are about to enter a journey that asks you to face that truth, a journey that may shake you, even overwhelm you, but will also open a kind of freedom you've never known. And to begin, Zen leads you to a pivotal point where true transformation starts. Silence is the sword of freedom. When you stop explaining and begin observing, you step out of their field of control. In life, there will be moments when you talk until your voice is worn out, yet the other person still doesn't understand. You offer logic, you explain, you try to prove you're not wrong. But the more you talk, the more drained you feel. Until one day, you suddenly recognize a truth that is hard to accept. Not every battle requires words. In Zen, there is a profound paradox that only those who have been hurt can truly understand. The more you try to prove, the more your mind becomes tangled. The more silent you become, the clearer your mind grows. Many people seek a Zen master in that state of exhaustion, not because they lack a voice, but because they have tried too hard to be heard. And after all the fatigue, they are left with one painful question everyone is asked at least once. Why is it that the more I explain, the more I lose myself? The Zen master often replies gently, entering a conversation seeking approval means you've already handed away your freedom. Remaining silent to observe is how you return to mastery of your own mind. Silence in Zen is not avoidance. It is a powerful declaration. You no longer allow your mind to be pulled by someone else's emotions. Like a sharp blade, silence cuts through the invisible strings that have bound you for so long, allowing you to see what noise always obscures. And in that quiet space, an ancient Zen story opens. The story of a young disciple who was constantly pulled into arguments. until he discovered the strength of silence and escaped the cycle of control and hurt. A journey now awaits you. Long ago, in a quiet valley where the morning mist was as soft as breath, there was a small temple hidden beneath old pine trees. In that temple lived a young novice named Haru, gentle, soft-spoken, easily shaken by the words of others. Haru always wanted to do things right, always tried to avoid upsetting anyone. But that gentleness made him the most vulnerable. There was also Ryokan, an older monk known for his habit of arguing. Ryokan was not a bad man, but he had one trait. Whenever anyone said something he disagreed with, he immediately countered, dissected every detail, and demanded they agree with his viewpoint. Many times, Haru was pulled into conversations that left him completely exhausted. Whenever Ryokan criticized or questioned Haru's actions, the young novice tried to explain, justify, and use all his sincerity to be understood. But the more he talked, the more he felt pushed into a corner, where guilt, fear, and self-doubt grew stronger. The more he talked, the more his mind felt like a leaf blown helplessly in the wind. One winter night, mountain wind slammed against the wooden door, creating a long, trembling sound. Haru was sweeping the courtyard when Ryokan stepped out, his voice full of reproach. "Haru, why did you not finish the task the master assigned this afternoon?" Haru bowed and replied softly, "I did most of it. I just couldn't finish the last part because it got dark too quickly." Ryokan cut him off, his voice cold. "You always have excuses. If you make a mistake, admit it. Why defend yourself?" Haru wanted to say more, to explain everything clearly. But the more he spoke, the louder Ryokan became, treating every word as another excuse. Outside, the wind swirled dry leaves into circling patterns. Inside Haru's heart, a stronger storm was rising. His eyes grew red, and finally he walked away in silence. That night, Haru couldn't sleep. The scolding, the failed attempts to explain, the suffocating feeling replayed endlessly. Unable to bear it, he went to the abbot's room. The Zen master was sitting quietly before an oil lamp, his posture so calm it felt as though time itself was resting. Haru knelt, his voice trembling. "I don't understand. Why does everything get worse the more I explain? I just want clarity. I just want to be understood." The master didn't answer immediately. He stood, gestured for Haru to follow, and led him to the courtyard where an old bronze bell had darkened with age. He asked, "If you want this bell to ring, what do you do?" Haru replied, "I must strike it." "And if you want it to be silent?" Haru hesitated. "Stop striking it." The master smiled gently. "When you try to explain, you are striking the bell of your own mind. Each justification makes the echo longer and your mind more disturbed. But when you stop, silence naturally returns." He placed a light hand on Haru's shoulder and spoke slowly, each word sinking deeply. "Silence is not losing. Silence is when you no longer allow your mind to be manipulated. When you observe instead of react, listen instead of defend, you step out of someone else's control and return to mastery of your own being." Haru stood still. The valley wind passed by, cold but clear. The bronze bell did not make a sound, but inside Haru, Another bell began to resonate, bright and far-reaching. For the first time in a long while, a new lesson had begun. Haru's story shows us something essential in Zen. Reaction is the hook that pulls you into someone else's control. Silence is the first step to freedom. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha taught, suffering arises from craving, aversion, and ignorance. Among them, aversion, the resistance that rises from a wounded ego, is what drives us into arguments and the desperate need to be understood. But the truth is this: no one is obligated to understand you, and you are not obligated to make anyone believe you. When you try to explain to someone who seeks control, every word becomes fuel for further attack. That is not dialogue. That is a power struggle. Zen calls this delusion waves that disturb the stillness of your mind. When you pause, observe your breath, listen to your body and mind, you cut off the chain of reaction. As the master said, stop striking the bell, and the sound will fade on its own. Modern psychology says the same. When you react emotionally, the brain enters fight or flight. When you remain silent and observe, the brain shifts into wise thinking, helping you escape the loop of conflict. Silence in Zen is intelligent silence, not silent suffering, not avoidance. It is silence that allows you to avoid being swept into someone else's emotions, protect your energy, see the truth of the situation, choose a response instead of reacting. In life, there are people who are not seeking truth. They seek victory. They need your reaction to maintain control. The more you speak, the stronger they become. The more silent you are, the more clearly their nature reveals itself. So, when you stop explaining, you don't become weaker. You reclaim the power you have been giving away. In mindfulness, we practice 3 things: seeing clearly the emotion rising, not reacting out of old habits, returning to the breath to keep the mind calm. When you do this, you step out of the game of the one trying to control you. They lose their power. You regain your freedom. When your mind is no longer entangled in arguments, sleep becomes deeper, because sleep comes not only when the body is tired, but when the mind is no longer stretched by fear and explanation. Tonight, before closing your eyes, you can practice a simple meditation. Sit or lie down comfortably. Place your hand on your chest. Inhale, I return to myself. Exhale, I release what is not mine. Each breath is a soft blade cutting the invisible cords of control. The more you breathe, the lighter your mind becomes. The more you release, the deeper your sleep grows. Silence helps you reclaim your freedom. But sometimes, the person who forces you to use that silence is not an ordinary person. They enter your life like a test. They disrupt your mind, shake your emotions, and sometimes make you doubt yourself. And right there, a larger question opens. Why does the narcissist appear in your life precisely when your heart is most fragile? Could it be that they did not come to imprison you, but to reveal the fear of loneliness buried deep within you? In the next part of this journey, we will step into another story. A story about how a narcissist appears as the final test before awakening, and how the fear of loneliness becomes the lock that keeps you trapped for so long. And when you understand that, you will see every wound that once hurt you is a doorway leading to freedom. There is a question many people carry throughout their whole life, but rarely dare to look at directly. Why do we stay attached to someone who hurts us? And an even deeper question: why does the narcissist, the one who seems to ruin our life, appear exactly when we are at our weakest? In Zen, there is a paradox that is hard to truly feel if you haven't lived through it. Sometimes the person who hurts you the most is the one who brings you closest to awakening. They are like a magnifying mirror, illuminating the fears you have been hiding for many years. They do not bind you with chains. They bind you with the fear of loneliness buried deep in your heart. The fear that makes you cling to ambiguous love, promises that are never fulfilled, and hopes that stretch on inside despair. Some people say, "I was pulled into them. I just can't get out." But when I sit down and listen deeply, I see something else. It is not that they are holding you back. It is that you are afraid to step out of them. Because when you step out, you are left with only yourself. No one to blame, no one to chase, no one to fill the emptiness you have ignored for so long. And it is that emptiness, not the narcissist, that you fear the most. You think you are clinging to them, but in truth, you are running away from yourself. To shed light on this, let us listen to a Zen story. A story about the final test before the heart opens. In ancient mountains, where the morning clouds draped each slope like a veil, there was a small Zen monastery clinging to the cliffside. There lived a young disciple named Akira, whose heart was so gentle that even his own kindness became a burden. Akira believed that if he just loved enough, stayed patient long enough, then others would eventually change, soften, and recognize his sincerity. One day, the monastery welcomed a traveler named Sora. Sora was charming in a way that was hard to explain. His words were soft as silk, his gaze warm like fire, and his smile could make anyone feel special. Within just a few days, everyone grew fond of Sora, and Akira was no exception. But soon, cracks began to appear. People started to notice that Sora was kind only when he was being noticed, gentle only when he was being praised. The moment someone didn't meet his expectations, Sora's face changed, and his voice turned so sharp it sent chills through the room. He could make others feel guilty, even when they had done nothing wrong. The more Akira saw this, the harder he tried. He became even gentler, even more tolerant, even more willing to endure. He believed he could change Sora. He believed that kindness would be returned. But Akira's kindness simply became a net that Sora used to pull him into a spiral of expectation, hurt, and fear, especially the fear of being left behind. Then came that fateful night. A light rain was falling. The wind was strong. Sora demanded that Akira escort him across a wooden bridge that connected two mountain peaks. Below them was a deep chasm, black and vast, as if it could swallow all light. Akira said anxiously, "It's too dangerous. Let's wait until morning." Sora curled his lip, his voice cold as stone. "You're always so timid. You never do anything for me. You're useless." Those words cut straight into Akira's heart. Not wanting to be seen as cowardly, not wanting to be abandoned, Akira stepped onto the bridge. The wind howled through the ropes. Each plank trembled beneath their feet. In the middle of the bridge, one plank snapped. Sora slipped. Both of them almost fell into the abyss. Akira instinctively grabbed Sora, his hands shaking with fear. But instead of gratitude, Sora shouted, "This is all your fault! If I die, it's because of you!" Amid the freezing wind and the bottomless darkness beneath them, Akira suddenly froze. Not from the fear of falling, but because a truth had just flashed in his mind. He had sacrificed too much, endured too long, only because he was afraid of being left. Akira looked at his hands gripping the rope. He looked at Sora, the person who had made him believe that without him, his world would collapse. And then Akira realized Sora was not the abyss. The fear in his own heart was the real abyss. He took a deep breath, his voice strangely calm. "I thought that if I let go, I would lose everything. But now I see. The one who can save me is not you. It is me." Akira pulled Sora back to safety. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away from the shaking bridge. For the first time, Sora was left standing there, shocked, confused, and completely stripped of control. That night, Akira went to see the Zen master. The master looked at him, eyes gentle like a still lake. "You have just passed the final test of your own heart." And you passed. In the mountain wind blowing through the ancient pines, Akira knew he had crossed a great threshold, not with Sora, but with the shadow inside himself. And from that day on, he was no longer afraid of the abyss. Akira's story is a very real reflection of many people's lives. We are not bound by others. We are bound by the fear inside us. In Zen, this is called self-binding, making ourselves suffer through our own illusions, expectations, and fears. The Buddha taught, suffering does not arise from circumstances. Suffering arises from how we cling to circumstances. The narcissist is like Sora in the story. They know how to make you feel guilty. They know how to make you believe you need them. They know how to strike your fear of being abandoned. They know how to turn you into someone who constantly has to prove their worth. But Zen helps us see clearly. They are not the ones keeping you there. The one keeping you there is your fear of being alone. In psychology, this is called attachment trauma, the wound of attachment. When you have been abandoned before or have lived in emotional deprivation, you are more likely to choose people who hurt you, simply because you are terrified of reliving the feeling of loneliness. But the paradox is this: it is precisely the narcissist who forces you to face that fear directly so you can move through it. They are the final exam that makes you look at your own nature. After understanding this story, you can see 3 important things. 1. No one binds you except your own mind. There is no chain stronger than the fear of being alone. The Buddha taught, No one can hurt you more than your own untamed mind. 2. Kindness cannot change someone who doesn't want to change. You can love them, be patient, sacrifice for them, but you cannot heal someone who refuses to look at themselves. Only the light of your own awakening can lead you out of that whirlpool. 3. The fear of loneliness only disappears when you stand still and look straight at it. A study from the University of Virginia once showed people fear being alone so much that 67% chose to receive a mild electric shock rather than sit quietly by themselves for 15 minutes. This shows the fear of being alone is not a small thing, but it can only be healed when you stop running away from it. When you face the fear of loneliness, your mind will spin and sleep will feel heavy. So before going to bed, try a small practice. 1. Close your eyes and place your hand over your heart. 2. Inhale. I rest in myself. 3. Exhale. I am not abandoned. Repeat for about a minute. That breath will remind you. You have never truly been alone. You simply forgot your ability to take refuge in yourself. As your breathing steadies, the mind will settle. When the mind settles, fear loses its power, and sleep will come softly, like mist. When you pass this final exam, you will see something even deeper. Your kindness without wisdom becomes a net that binds you. In the darkness of the narcissist, kindness is easily weaponized, turned into something they use to manipulate, demand, and drain you. In the next part, we will listen to another Zen story. A story about the boundary of loving kindness and why compassion without wisdom leads you to suffering instead of liberation. Because only when you understand the limits of your own goodness can you truly step onto the path of inner freedom. There is a very deep paradox in life that many people experience but few ever recognize. Why is it that the kinder you are, the more easily you get hurt? Why is it that the more you love, the more you are taken advantage of? Everyone thinks kindness is light, something that can save others. But in the darkness of those who only know how to love themselves, that light is often distorted, exploited, and turned into a weapon against the very person who carries it. Zen masters often ask people who come to the temple in suffering, "Do you know why you are exhausted? It is not because you love too much, but because you love in the wrong place." The Buddha taught, compassion must go hand in hand with wisdom. Without wisdom, compassion becomes a net you weave to trap yourself in. This becomes very clear in daily life. A kind person easily forgives, but the narcissist sees that forgiveness as an invitation for further manipulation. A patient, self-sacrificing person is seen by the narcissist as someone obligated to fulfill their needs. A person with a good heart becomes the place where the narcissist dumps all their anger, demands, and responsibilities. They do not need you to understand them. They only need you to obey them. And when you endure to keep the peace, they use your endurance as proof that you don't have the right to be hurt or don't have the right to be tired. Because when you enter a relationship with a narcissist, kindness is no longer light. It becomes a net that traps you. To illuminate this more clearly, Zen masters often tell the story of a young student, someone who used kindness to save others, but in the end, nearly drowned in that very kindness. On a mist-covered mountainside, there was an ancient temple standing like a threshold between earth and sky. There, a young novice named Minato grew up with the sound of evening bells and the breath of the forest. Minato had a heart as soft as spring water. Whoever struggled, he helped. Whoever was angry, he yielded. Whoever vented frustration, he lowered his head and quietly endured. To Minato, this was how a practitioner maintained compassion. One day, the temple welcomed a stranger named Rei. To outsiders, Rei seemed pleasant, a gentle smile, a warm voice, eyes that could charm anyone. But those who observed closely sensed something slightly off, like the shadow of a hidden blade beneath his robe. Rei always tried to read a person's weaknesses, then slowly cling to them. Just days after arriving, Rei began to focus on Minato, not because he liked him, but because he sensed Minato's gentleness was fertile ground for power. At first, Rei asked Minato for small favors like fetching water or carrying firewood. Then bigger, heavier, more unreasonable tasks. Things Rei could easily do himself, but he still assigned them to Minato, as if testing where Minato's limits were. Whenever Minato grew tired, Rei spoke as though he were teaching a spiritual lesson. A compassionate person does not feel tired. When Minato made even the smallest mistake, Rei didn't speak gently. He pronounced judgment. "Your mind is not bright enough. You disappoint me." Those words fell into Minato like sharp needles. He endured, tolerated, and sacrificed even more, afraid he was unworthy of the ideal that patience is virtue. Until one night, fierce mountain winds rose. The temple corridors shook with every gust, and the oil lamp flickered as if about to go out. Rei called to Minato, "Go to the back courtyard and fetch water for me. I'm thirsty." Outside, the sky was pitch black, the cold wind whipping the temple roof like a lash. The path to the well was nearly half a mile away. Minato hesitated. "A storm is coming. Please wait until morning." Rei immediately frowned, his voice sharp as steel. "Are you defying me? True compassion knows no fear. Are you going or not?" Minato froze. He didn't dare speak further. He simply turned away, carrying the small oil lamp the master had given him earlier, its flame no bigger than a breath. The farther he walked, the stronger the wind became. Minato tried to shield the flame with his numb hands. In his mind, only one thought repeated: "If I don't do this, Rei will be angry. If Rei is angry, I am at fault." The trembling flame mirrored his own heart, weak but straining to endure. Near the forest's edge, a violent gust swept across. The flame went out. Darkness fell like a heavy curtain over everything. Minato froze. Not because he feared the dark, but because he believed Rei would be furious, would scold him, would call him useless. He collapsed to his knees, tears spilling over. In that moment of crying, Minato realized what hurt him was not Rei. It was the belief that he would never be good enough, that even one small mistake erased his worth. In the darkness, another light appeared, warmer, gentler. The Zen master walked toward him, resting a soft hand on his shoulder. He did not scold, only asked, "Why are you crying?" Minato choked out, "I disappointed Rei." The master looked at the extinguished lamp and said slowly, "You tried to keep the lamp in someone else's hands burning, but your own lamp has gone out." Minato fell silent. The master continued, "Your compassion is beautiful, but it lacks wisdom. In the darkness of a person who does not know how to love, kindness can be exploited for control. If you do not protect your own flame, you will be swallowed by your own goodness." Minato looked up, eyes glistening, as if trying to grasp something deeper. The master asked, "Do you know why Rei became angry when you didn't do as he wished?" Minato stammered, "Because I did something wrong?" The master gently shook his head. "No. Rei was angry because you stopped being a puppet in his hands." Night winds blew softer now, as if the mountains themselves were breathing with the moment. Minato stood. In the darkness, another flame ignited within him, one no one could extinguish, the flame of clear seeing. Minato's story reflects what is happening in the lives of many people. The Buddha taught, compassion means opening the heart. Wisdom means knowing boundaries. Without boundaries, compassion becomes self-destruction. In psychology, this is called compassion fatigue, exhaustion caused by giving too much. When you give without receiving respect, the nervous system strains, leading to depression, anxiety, and the loss of your sense of worth. The narcissist does not need you to understand them. They need you to obey them. They turn your kindness into obligation and their disappointment into your fault. In Zen, protecting your own flame means not giving when you are depleted, not sacrificing in exchange for acceptance, not using kindness to cover the fear of abandonment, not becoming a place where others dump their anger. Kindness is only truly light when it does not make you dimmer. Applying this teaching in modern life is simple but essential. Re-examine the motivation behind your kindness. Do you give to build or because you fear losing someone? Does your kindness come from freedom or from fear? Learn to say no. This is not coldness. This is mindfulness. This is protecting yourself. Respect your own energy. Research from Harvard shows people who are too agreeable have stress levels 3 times higher than those who set boundaries. So protecting boundaries is not selfish. It is health. Once you understand that compassion without wisdom is the net you use to trap yourself, you will see something else clearly. You cannot heal someone who refuses to look at themselves. Your kindness is only a mirror, and the narcissist shatters that mirror so they won't have to see the truth of who they are. The next part will speak about that mirror and why the more you love, the more they grow angry when you reflect their true nature back to them. That too is an important step on your journey toward awakening. There is a truth that causes many people great pain without understanding why. Why do you help them with all your heart, yet they still get angry? Why do you love them so much, yet they treat you like an enemy? People usually think conflict happens because you did something wrong, but sometimes your only mistake is this: you accidentally reflected a truth they don't have the courage to look at. Buddhist teachings say, No one can be healed if they refuse to face themselves. A soul that refuses to be reflected is like a room that has been closed for many years. When light comes in, it only makes the thick dust more visible, and the owner of the room will blame the light instead of blaming their own attachment to darkness. In life, this shows up in love, in family, in friendships, in any environment where people touch one another through emotions. You try to love, you try to fix, you try to support, but they see you as a mirror reflecting what they are denying. Selfishness, wounds that haven't been healed, blaming others, lack of responsibility, or an ego too big to admit being wrong. And when the mirror is too clear, the person who is not ready will smash it so they don't have to see themselves. Zen masters often call this the suffering of the one who brings light. The pain of the person who brings light to a place that is not yet ready to receive it. To make this clearer, Zen masters tell an old story about a potter, a broken mirror, and a lesson about the nature of denial. In an ancient village deep in a valley, where morning cooking smoke blended with the clouds like a thin ribbon, there lived a potter named Kazuo. The villagers saw Kazuo as a gentle anchor. Anyone who felt sad came to him to pour out their heart. Anyone who needed help found him appearing at the right moment. Anyone who exploded in anger saw him simply stand still, gently receiving their rage like catching a passing wind. In that village, there was another man, Daigo, the complete opposite, hot-tempered, arrogant, with an ego so big he never admitted he was wrong. Daigo liked Kazuo, but it wasn't affection. It was a kind of liking based on how easy Kazuo was to handle and control, as if he had found someone who would always nod to him. One day, Daigo brought a dusty old mirror to the pottery workshop. He slammed it down on the table and said, "Clean this for me. I want to see my perfect face." Kazuo gently took the mirror and patiently wiped away each layer of dust. When the last dull patch disappeared, the reflection appeared clearer than ever. And that was exactly what made Daigo freeze. In the mirror was not a perfect face. It was his real face, eyes always full of suspicion, the corners of his mouth pulled down from years of frowning, a face carrying the fatigue of a life spent in competition and comparison. Daigo was stunned for just a moment. Then anger flared up like fire catching dry straw. "You ruined my mirror!" he shouted. Kazuo looked straight at him, his voice still very calm. "The mirror only shows what is already there." That sentence was exactly what Daigo could not tolerate. Not because it was wrong, but because it was so true it stripped away the illusion he had worked so hard to build. In that painful moment of truth, Daigo grabbed the mirror and threw it to the ground. The sound of shattering echoed through the valley. Shards of glass glittered in the late sunlight, sharp but silent. They no longer reflected anything. Daigo turned and walked away. From that day on, he avoided Kazuo's workshop as if avoiding his own shadow. Not because Kazuo had done anything wrong, but because Kazuo had done exactly what Daigo did not have the courage to face. He had shown him who he really was. Many months later, when hardships swept through the land, Daigo fell into serious trouble. people in the village thought Kazuo would turn his back on him. But Kazuo still quietly helped. No blame, no demand for repayment, because that was his compassionate nature, independent of other people's attitudes. A neighbor asked, "Why do you help someone who smashed your mirror?" Kazuo smiled, his eyes gentle like spring water. When people are afraid of the truth, they will break anything that reflects it. The mirror broke not because I was wrong, but because they did not yet have the courage to look at themselves. Whether I help or not is my choice, but letting them define my value, that will never happen. The story of Kazuo's mirror teaches a profound truth. In psychology, this mechanism is called defensive projection, defending oneself by shifting responsibility onto others. Someone who does not want to face their inner darkness will always attack anything that shows it to them. The Buddha called this ignorance, not stupidity, but the deliberate turning away from truth. A compassionate heart wants to help others change. But if they do not want to change, your kindness becomes a threat to their ego. The more genuine you are, the more uncomfortable they feel. The more peaceful you are, the more unsettled they become. The clearer you are, the more they want to make you blurry. In Zen, there is a principle. Each person can only walk with their own 2 feet. You can show the way, but you cannot walk it for them. Trying to save someone who doesn't want to be saved is throwing yourself into the abyss. From this story, there are 3 practical lessons. 1. Don't waste time proving your worth. You do not have to explain yourself to be accepted. You do not have to shrink yourself to be loved. Those who want to understand will understand. Those who refuse to understand will see you as darkness no matter how bright you are. 2. Set boundaries. They are protection for your wisdom. Compassion must go with wisdom. Mindfulness means knowing what belongs to you and what does not. 3. In neuroscience, the brain of a person who rejects the truth will resist all reflection. Research from Stanford University shows when a person is criticized about their character, the same region of the brain that processes physical pain also lights up. That means they are not angry at you. They are afraid of the truth. The mirror simply shows them what they cannot accept. When you understand that you are only the mirror, and they break it so they don't have to look at the truth, your heart will hurt less. You will see that suffering is not a final period, but a doorway into deeper wisdom. Like the lotus, it does not bloom on marble, but in deep mud. What you are going through now is that mud, the place where a great lotus is about to emerge. And the next part will go into this. Suffering is not a punishment. Suffering is the process of the mind's maturation. Let us continue into the next part of this journey of awakening. There is a great paradox most of us do not want to face. Why are the moments that hurt you the most the very same moments that make you grow? Why do the experiences that break your heart open a kind of understanding that peace alone can never bring? Buddhist teachings describe this truth with a very familiar image. A lotus does not bloom on marble. It blooms in mud. No one likes mud. No one wants their life to fall into heavy, dark places. But it is the mud, damp, dirty, avoided by everyone, that gives a lotus the strength to rise. In life, the mud is betrayal, abandonment, loss, crises, unanswered questions, silent nights of crying. You may think those periods are failures or misfortunes, but in the light of Buddhist wisdom, they are the soil of transformation. Zen masters often say, "No one awakens on a soft cushion. People awaken in their breaking." To illuminate this truth, a Zen master tells an old story about a young student, a storm, and the lotus that bloomed from the deep mud of his own mind. Long ago, in the mountains near Lake Nira, a young student named Ryota came to study with a renowned old Zen master. Ryota was intelligent, diligent, respectful, but inside him lived a fear so deep he had never dared to name it. Fear of suffering, fear of failure, fear of facing the darker corners within himself. One late autumn afternoon, a sudden storm swept in. The sky darkened, the clouds hung so low they seemed touchable. Wind roared through the treetops, as if trying to tear the valley apart. Lake Nira, usually calm like a sheet of glass, erupted into violent swirling waves. While cleaning up, Ryota looked toward the lake and saw a large lotus. The waves crashed so fiercely that it seemed everything might be swallowed, yet the lotus stood firm. It trembled, swayed, but did not break. Soft, but unyielding. Ryota ran to the Zen master, voice full of worry. "Master, the lotus will be destroyed by the storm." The master looked out at the lake, his eyes calm as if seeing something Ryota could not yet see. "What do you think will destroy it?" "The storm," Ryota answered. The master gently shook his head. "Not the storm. Whatever makes a lotus bloom is also what makes it strong." Ryota was confused. He didn't understand. That night, the storm grew even wilder. The lake rose, the mud beneath churned dark, and waves slammed against the shore. Ryota could not sleep. His heart tightened with worry for the lotus. He thought, if only it had bloomed in a cleaner, calmer place, it wouldn't have to suffer like this. The next morning, after the storm passed, a gentle breeze brushed across the now still surface of the lake. Ryota rushed outside and froze in shock. The lotus had not only survived, it had bloomed larger, brighter, its petals open wider than before, as if untouched by the storm. The Zen master came to Ryota's side and spoke softly. "The lotus does not bloom on marble. Remember." Ryota bowed his head. "But why does it become even more beautiful after a storm?" The master looked at the lotus and said, "Because the deepest mud holds the richest nutrients. That is the soil of life." Ryota asked, "And the storm?" The master replied, "The storm makes the roots grow deeper. It shows the lotus how strong it truly is." In that moment, Ryota felt awakened. He finally understood the truth he had been running from. Suffering does not come to destroy us. Suffering comes to show us that we are stronger than we believed. The master placed a hand on Ryota's shoulder. Every person has a Lake Nira in their heart, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. The lotus inside you is wisdom. It waits for the mud of your life to touch it so it can bloom. Ryota hesitated. "If I avoid mud and avoid storms, will I avoid suffering?" The master looked at him for a long time. "You will avoid living. The story The stormy night at Lake Nira opens a profound layer of Buddhist teaching. When life is easy, people fall asleep in comfort. Suffering comes like a bell to wake you, to push you forward, to force you to look at yourself. As the Buddha taught, suffering is the first teacher of wisdom. People with depth are not shaped by comfort. They are shaped by learning to bloom through mud. The mud is failure, betrayal, childhood wounds, mistakes, the moments you once thought you would never survive. No one likes mud, but no one grows without it. In modern psychology, this is called post-traumatic growth. Growth after trauma. Those who have walked through deep suffering often develop greater empathy, greater patience, more enduring compassion, a broader understanding of life. Suffering does not make you a worse person. Suffering helps you become a real one. Buddhist teachings speak of impermanence. Everything changes. No one suffers forever, and no one stays peaceful forever. The important thing is not avoiding mud, but how to keep your roots from rotting, how to keep your mind from breaking. This story offers several practical lessons for modern life. Do not hate the phase in which you are suffering. Suffering is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is the signal that you are walking through the land of transformation. Do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" The second question opens the door to wisdom. The first one traps you in sadness. In suffering, your mind becomes the most honest version of you. If peace is calm water, suffering is the storm that reveals everything you tried to hide. Neuroscience shows. During intense stress, the brain activates the region that processes truth more strongly than usual. In other words, suffering forces you to see what you avoid seeing in peaceful times. Compassion for yourself is the first step to blooming. You once learned how to love others unconditionally. Now it is time to learn how to love yourself unconditionally. Even when you are covered in mud, when you understand that suffering does not come to destroy you, but to open the door to wisdom, you will realize you are not weak. You are deep. The fact that you once stayed, once loved, once tried, once endured, is not a sign of weakness. It is proof that you knew how to love unconditionally long before your wisdom matured. And that is where we step into the next part, about the strength of a heart once broken, and why your kindness was never a mistake. Let us continue this journey. There are periods in life when you've blamed yourself, thinking, "Why did I stay so long? Why didn't I let go sooner? Why did I endure so much?" And in the middle of all that self-blame, you often reach an unfair conclusion. I must be weak. But the truth is the complete opposite. The person who walks away instantly is not necessarily strong. The person who chooses to stay tries to heal, tries to understand, tries to love, is often the one with the deeper, broader, more enduring heart. Buddhist teachings call this the strength of a loving heart, a kind of strength born from the ability to love unconditionally, a strength many people mistake for softness, but in reality, it is one of the hardest things to do. In everyday life, this becomes very clear. Those who fear pain run first. Those driven by gain calculate everything. Those with big hearts stay the longest, not out of desperation, but because their love doesn't close easily. To illuminate this, the next part of the journey tells the story of a young woman, an ancient pine tree, and the awakening that patience of the heart is not weakness, but a kind of wisdom that has not yet blossomed. In a small village on a misty mountainside lived a young woman named Amy. Everyone in the region knew Amy as the kindest person in the village. When someone needed help, she was there. When someone felt tired, she listened. Her gentleness became something people grew so used to receiving that they began to treat it as expected. Amy loved a young man in the village. He was sometimes thoughtless, sometimes harsh, sometimes absent during her weakest moments. And yet Amy stayed. She didn't leave. Not because she feared being alone, but because she believed that if a heart was patient enough and loving enough, it could soften someone. She believed in the possibility of human change, even when those around her called her weak. One winter day, a sudden snowstorm swept through the village. Cold wind howled across rooftops, carrying the roar of the mountains. Amy ran to find shelter and happened to see the local Zen master standing before an ancient pine tree. The tree had weathered hundreds of seasons, its trunk bent with the wind, yet it had never broken. Amid the roaring wind, Amy asked, "Master, this pine has gone through so many storms. It should have broken long ago. How is it still standing?" The Zen master looked up at the branches, shaking violently. "Because it knows how to bend," Amy was surprised. "But doesn't bending mean becoming weak?" The master gently smiled. "Only what is strong dares to be soft. What is weak breaks even before it has a chance to bend." The wind grew stronger, pushing the branches down and letting them rise again like nature's breath. Amy watched, feeling something deeply familiar, something that mirrored her own heart. The master continued, "People are the same. Some run at the first breeze because they fear pain. Others stay longer, not because they are foolish, but because they have the endurance of the heart. They carry the seeds of compassion." Amy looked into the swirling snow, drawing circles in the air. In that moment, something she had never named became clear. Staying is not always a sign of naivete. Sometimes it is proof that a heart loves with depth, not with reflex or instinct. The Zen master watched her for a while, then said a sentence Amy would remember all her life. "Only those who have stayed until exhaustion truly understand that they have loved with their whole life." Amy lowered her head, tears falling, not because she was hurt, but because she realized that loving deeply is not a crime. She only needed to learn how to love without burning herself down. The next morning, the storm had passed. The ancient pine still stood, calm, steady, as if the night had never been violent. But inside Amy, something had changed. She no longer blamed herself, no longer fought between staying or leaving. She realized that a person's worth does not lie in that decision. It lies in the quality of their love, in compassion, mindfulness, and the ability to remain steady in a storm. This Zen story is not only a story about love, it is a profound lesson about the nature of the mind. The Buddha taught that within each of us lies the bodhisattva heart, naturally wanting to help, to hold, to heal, to uplift. This heart is not weakness. It is a sign of spiritual goodness. A shallow person cannot stay long, because deep love is heavy. Caring for others is hard, and compassion demands enormous energy. A weak person cannot do that, but love without wisdom will exhaust you. Buddhist teachings say, compassion without wisdom becomes a burden. Wisdom without compassion becomes cold. Amy stayed because she had compassion, but what she lacked was the wisdom to protect herself. This is what many people struggle with. You forgive too much. You give too much. You believe love alone can change someone. And you forget that change is their task, not yours. Perseverance in love is a sign of spiritual depth. In modern psychology, this corresponds to high empathy endurance, the capacity to sustain compassion. People with this trait often deeply understand others' emotions, can place themselves in the position of the hurting person, and are willing to stay to support others. This is a noble quality, not weakness, but kindness needs boundaries. Buddhist teachings call this compassion with boundaries. Without boundaries, compassion becomes blind sacrifice. With boundaries, compassion becomes wisdom. From the story of Amy and the pine tree, you can immediately apply several lessons. Do not feel ashamed for staying too long. Staying does not make you small. In fact, it proves you loved sincerely, you hoped for goodness, and you lived according to your values. See your perseverance as a gift, not a mistake. Some people cannot love as deeply as you. They cannot endure the way you can. They do not have your inner strength. A sensitive heart is not a burden. It is a capacity. Neuroscience shows that people with high compassion have stronger development in the brain regions responsible for empathy. This means you are not weak. You simply carry the structure of a slowly maturing, but deeply maturing soul. When you recognize that your perseverance comes from depth rather than weakness, your heart becomes lighter. You will understand that your love was never wrong. It simply had not yet been guided by full wisdom. And this opens the door to the next part of the journey. Karma is never a punishment. Karma is simply truth finding its way back. Let us continue, because every step toward awakening is a step back to your most luminous nature. In life, whenever people face suffering, most of us easily say, "This must be karma punishing me." It sounds reasonable, but beneath that sentence is a very deep misunderstanding of the teachings. Buddhism never says that karma is a whip hanging over your head to punish you. Karma is not some deity sitting there recording your actions and sending down misfortune. Karma is simply the seed you have planted, and the truth of that seed will one day find its way back to you. It's like throwing a stone into the surface of a lake. The ripples immediately spread out, touch the shore, and then each small wave returns toward the center. No one is punishing you. Only the law of cause and effect is doing its work, or like a word leaving your mouth. A kind word, one day, returns as trust and respect. A cruel word, one day, returns as distance and coldness. No one is punishing you. It is only truth coming back. Zen masters often say, karma is not someone trying to hurt you. Karma is simply the mirror returning the exact image you once sent into it. To understand this more clearly, let's go into a short story. The story of a merchant, a wooden bridge, and the way truth quietly returned to his life. Long ago, in a distant countryside, there was only one road across the river, an old wooden bridge. Every day, villagers crossed that bridge to reach the market, the fields, and the forest. In that village lived a merchant named Hideo. He was good at business and had plenty of money, but inside he always carried a deep restlessness. Hideo often said, "In this world, if you don't compete and get ahead, others will swallow you whole." So he became used to squeezing people on price, taking advantage of their hardship, using sweet words to get contracts signed, then turning his back and breaking his promises. One year, during heavy rains, the river rose high. The current grew fierce. The wooden bridge began to weaken. Many of its planks were rotten. The villagers grew worried and went to ask Hideo, the richest man in the village, to contribute money to repair the bridge. An old man said, "If the bridge breaks, the elderly, the children, and the sick won't be able to cross. We hope you'll lend a hand." Hideo sneered. "That's not my responsibility. I can pay for my own boat to cross. If others don't have money, that's their problem." The villagers were saddened but could do nothing. Hideo still walked across the bridge twice a day with proud steps until eventually he saw it as something he was entitled to. One early morning, fog covered the river. You could barely see the water. The bridge was hidden in white mist. Hideo walked as he did every day, holding a money pouch he had just earned from cheating someone in the neighboring village. Inside, he felt secretly pleased. As long as I'm smarter than people, I'll be fine. That's how life is. When he reached the middle of the bridge, a rotted plank suddenly snapped. Hideo slipped, his body falling, barely managing to grab the edge of the bridge. The river water was icy and fast. The money pouch slipped from his hand and sank. He panicked and shouted, "Help! Somebody help!" His voice echoed in the fog. But it was still early. The villagers were on the far side and no one had reached the bridge yet. In that moment, a series of images flashed clearly in Hideo's mind. Faces of those he had underpaid and squeezed, times he had signed papers and then immediately gone back on his word, moments when people reached out asking for help and he turned away. He realized something that cut into his heart like a blade. All those years, he had never built a bridge of human kindness. He had only walked on bridges others built, enjoying every convenience, but never offering even a single plank in return. His hands began to slip on the wet wood. Hideo gasped for breath, his heart pounding wildly. In that brief space between life and death, he no longer thought about money, deals, winning or losing. Only one question kept spinning in his mind. Is this karma punishing me? Just as he was about to lose strength, another hand grabbed his and pulled him up. It was Mitsu, a young man from the village, the same person Hideo had once ruthlessly underpaid when Mitsu sold his first harvest. Mitsu didn't say anything. He simply pulled Hideo back to safety. Hideo lay on the grass, panting, his body trembling. He looked at Mitsu and asked in a broken voice, "Why did you save me?" Mitsu replied, "If I let you die, I'd carry another wound in my heart. I don't need any more wounds." Then Mitsu walked away. The next day, when the fog cleared, Hideo went to the bridge and looked at each rotting plank, his legs suddenly weak. He didn't see it as the bridge that betrayed him. He saw clearly that this was the bridge that had been straining for too long under his indifference. From that day on, Hideo used his own money and stood side by side with the villagers to repair the bridge. With every blow of the hammer, he practiced looking deeply. He wasn't just repairing the wooden bridge out there. He was mending the bridges he had burned in other people's hearts. No one punished him. It was just truth returning in the form of a broken plank in the fog. The story of Hideo and the bridge is not just for entertainment. It is a vivid illustration of the nature of karma. Karma is cause and effect, not a sentence. The Buddha taught about the law of cause and effect. Plant a seed, and a certain kind of fruit will grow. Speak a word, and it creates a certain kind of impact. Perform an action, and it creates a pattern for the future. Karma is not someone grading you and handing out punishment. Karma is like a storehouse of seeds in the mind. Every time you think, speak, or act, you add a seed to that storehouse. When conditions are right, that seed sprouts. Hideo was not punished for not contributing to fix the bridge. He simply experienced the result of many years of indifference combined. When he needed an invisible bridge of trust, he didn't have one. When he needed a hand immediately, he hadn't planted enough seeds to have someone there for him. And yet life still sent Mitsu as a new karmic condition. If Hideo was willing to look back, a new seed could be planted. Karma is truth returning, so you can see who you have been. Karma is not only suffering as result, there is also wholesome karma. The time you stayed with someone in their darkest moment, years later, when you are in trouble, someone else unexpectedly shows up right when you need them. You call that luck. Buddhist teachings call it ripened conditions. What happened to Hideo was truth returning. The truth that he had benefited greatly from the community without ever contributing in equal measure. The truth that, in a single moment, his life depended on the compassion of someone he had previously hurt. Psychology talks about repeating patterns. The way you treat the world shapes the environment you eventually end up living in. If you always doubt, you live in an atmosphere filled with suspicion. If you always scheme, you keep meeting people who force you to stay on guard. This is how modern science describes one facet of cause and effect. In other words, karma is habit turning into circumstance, inner truth becoming outer context. From this story, we can draw some very practical lessons. 1. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this showing me about myself?" The second question leads you into the realm of wisdom. Not to blame yourself, but to wake up. 2. You don't need to fear karma. Use karma as a mirror. When you notice a pattern repeating itself, such as often meeting people who look down on you, repeatedly ending up in relationships with little respect, repeatedly landing in environments where you're exploited. Instead of only blaming life, you can pause and look deeper. What belief, habit, or wound inside me is inviting this situation? In that moment, karma stops being a whip and becomes a mirror. 3. A simple illustration from science. Neuroscientists say, when we repeat a certain thought or reaction, the neural connections for that pattern grow stronger. Over time, we call that personality. Then that personality drives our choices. Choices shape circumstances. This is another way of describing karma. Inner life crystallizes into outer life. At night, before sleep, the mind is easily pulled into questions like, is this karma punishing me? Do I deserve this? Is the universe punishing me? Instead of spiraling into these fear-based questions, you can try a different approach. Gentle, but deeper. 1. Sit or lie still with your hand on your chest. 2. As you breathe in, silently acknowledge, this is truth returning. 3. As you breathe out, silently say, I am ready to learn its lesson. Each breath is a step out of the role of punished victim and into the role of a student who is growing. Over time, this way of seeing calms your nervous system, reduces helplessness, and helps you sleep more deeply. Sleep is no longer an escape, but a resting place where the mind digests the day's lessons. When you understand that karma is never punishment, but simply truth finding its way back, you gradually loosen the feeling of being condemned. Instead, you begin to see each experience, even in love, as a mirror reflecting your level of awareness, your level of self-respect, and your level of inner maturity. And here, a very important question appears. If karma is truth returning, what truth are your disrespectful relationships trying to show you? From here, the journey will move deeper into another layer of reality. That love without respect is only an illusion, and one-sided gentleness is not the path. It is only the habit of enduring. There is a paradox in relationships. The more we love someone, the easier it becomes to close our eyes to the truth. When the heart wants to hold on, the mind is often clouded. And in that very moment, many people confuse love with endurance. A quiet question lives in the hearts of many. Why do some relationships, the more gentle, the more self-sacrificing, the more yielding, end up hurting me more? Because there is a very karmic truth. Love without respect is only an illusion. One-sided gentleness is not the path. It is the habit of self-endurance. Respect is like the foundation of a house. If the foundation is hollow, every beautiful piece of furniture inside is just decoration. When storms come, that house collapses very quickly. Love works the same way. If the other person no longer sees your value, then all your efforts to keep things calm become nothing more than a way of deceiving yourself. A dry leaf, even if you place it inside a precious book, cannot turn green again. A road, no matter how beautiful it once was, if it no longer leads to where you belong, must eventually be left behind. And to see this clearly, let's step into the following Zen story. Long ago, in an ancient temple in the middle of a misty valley, there lived an old Zen master named Sanso. He was known for his gentleness and his eyes that seemed to see straight into the human heart. One autumn afternoon, a light wind blew, making yellow leaves fall softly into the temple courtyard. A young woman named Mira came to see him, her eyes red from crying, her hands cold and trembling as she tried to hold herself together. She knelt before the master. "Master, I love him with everything I have. I am always gentle, always patient, always stepping back to keep the peace. But the gentler I am, the more he looks down on me. The more I love him, the smaller I feel. Why does my love make me suffer this much?" Master Sanso did not answer right away. He bent down, picked up a dry leaf, and held it out to Mira. "Close your hand around this," he said. Mira did as he asked. The leaf crumbled in her palm. "Why did it break apart like that?" she whispered. The master spoke softly. "Because the leaf is already dry. It no longer has the strength to handle pressure. Holding it tightly only makes it fall apart." Mira fell silent. The master then picked up another leaf, still green and soft. "Now close your hand around this one." Mira gently squeezed. The leaf only bent and then returned to its original shape. The master looked at her, his eyes kind but deep. "Just like a leaf, a person can only receive love when there is a foundation of respect. If there is no respect for you inside them, then whether your love is light or strong, it will still make them uncomfortable. And you, too, are like the dry leaf. The more you try to hold on, the more you hurt yourself." Mira lowered her head, tears falling again. "But why does he still accept my gentleness?" she asked. The master pointed to the leaves swaying on the branches. "The wind still enjoys playing with the leaves, even though it never stays with them. Someone who does not truly value you will keep receiving just enough, but never really give back." The young woman sighed. "So, what should I do?" The master turned toward a small pot of boiling water on the nearby stove. "Do you see the steam rising?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. "It rises because that is its nature. It does not stay, no matter how much the water tries to hold on. When the steam leaves, the water is not a failure. It is simply that each thing follows its own nature. Your love is very beautiful, but the other person does not have the inner foundation to safeguard that beauty. Your gentleness is not wrong. You have simply given it to the wrong place." Mira burst into tears, but this time she cried because she understood. The master placed a green leaf in her hand. "Hold on to yourself first, before looking for someone who respects you enough to hold you," he said. That story points to an important truth in Buddhism. Compassion is not the same as enduring mistreatment. Patience is not the same as losing yourself. In modern psychology, this is called a pattern of self-abandonment, the tendency to sacrifice oneself in exchange for love. But true love does not require anyone to make themselves smaller. Zen teaches that to love without seeing yourself is to fall into ignorance. And the one who receives love but does not respond with respect is not necessarily a bad person. They are simply not yet mature enough to love. In the teaching of non-self, Loving in a way that erases yourself goes against the path. And in the teaching of right view, when a person does not see their own value, they will choose relationships that pull them deeper into suffering. Respect is the root. Love is only the flower. No matter how beautiful the flower is, it cannot survive if the root has rotted. The Buddha taught that in every relationship, the first thing to protect is not love. It is dignity, and science also shows. When someone lives in a relationship without respect, cortisol levels, the stress hormone, rise, leading to insomnia, exhaustion, and anxiety. Even if on the outside they seem fine. Buddhism speaks of knowing you are suffering as the first step toward liberation. No avoiding, no sugarcoating, no clinging, because truth may hurt us, but it never leads us astray. Without respect, love very easily turns into endurance. Without inner equality, your gentleness becomes something the other person takes as obvious. You may love anyone you choose, but do not let that love make you forget your own worth. Now, as your breath slows down, feel this important truth. You do not need to strain yourself to prove you are worthy to anyone. You do not need to find excuses for disrespectful behavior. You do not need to keep smoothing over waves you did not create. Place your hand on your chest and listen to your heartbeat. Every beat is a reminder that you were not born to endure. Breathe deeply. Relax your shoulders. Gently close your eyes. When you stop, the mind will see clearly. True gentleness must flow from both sides, not from one person giving and the other only receiving. Let your body settle like a still lake. When the mind stops struggling, it naturally becomes clear. Sleep comes more easily when you are no longer carrying an invisible battle inside. Today's story leaves you with a gentle reminder. One-sided gentleness is not the path. It is the habit of enduring. If you want a peaceful heart, you must know how to set boundaries. If you want to love in a healthy way, you must learn to honor yourself first. And from here, another question opens the next doorway. Leaving is not the end. It is growth. You are not running away. You are simply withdrawing your heart from a place that is no longer worthy of it. Let us step into the next story, where we will see more clearly how a mature heart learns to let go without resentment and to love without losing itself. There is a very familiar feeling in the hearts of many people when you're still inside a painful relationship. Every day feels like falling one step deeper into darkness. And when you finally have the strength to leave, when you should feel relieved, what shows up instead is guilt, shame, the sense that you're the one who gave up. Many people blame themselves. Did I leave because I was too weak? Did I let go because I was running away? Am I someone who can't stay loyal? In truth, some departures are not endings. They are growth, like a tree planted in the wrong soil. If it keeps clinging to barren ground, it will dry up and die. If it's moved to a new patch of soil with water and sunlight, it will grow again. No one says the tree is running away. It is simply returning to the environment its life deserves. Buddhist teachings say, knowing when to stop is wisdom. Pulling your heart back from a place that drains you is compassion toward yourself. To illuminate this, the Zen master told a story about a young disciple, a village at the foot of a mountain, and a departure that wasn't about resentment, but about returning to one's own truth. On the slope of a distant mountain, where morning clouds drifted past old mossy roof tiles, there was a small, quiet temple. Master Chiron, who had spent most of his life in the peace of the mountains, lived there with a few young disciples. Below the mountain was a lively village filled with habits that exhausted the heart: jealousy, competition, gossip over rice wine, and relationships tied together more by emotional manipulation than kindness. Ren, a young man born in that village, longed to escape that cycle, so he came to the temple to practice. On the mountain, Ren found a peace he had never known before. Chanting and sweeping in the morning, meditating in the afternoon, chopping wood, picking vegetables. Each day passing lightly like flowing water. His heart slowly settled, but every weekend, Ren still asked to go down the mountain. He carried vegetables, firewood, and herbal remedies, thinking his patience and calmness could help transform the village. He believed, if I'm good enough, eventually they will be good too. But reality was different. People in the village became accustomed to Ren's help. They treated it as something they were entitled to. Few ever asked if he was tired, and whenever Ren spoke even slightly honestly, they immediately blamed him. "You've been on the mountain too long. Now you look down on us, huh? You've changed. You're not who you used to be." Those words clung to Ren like stones tied to his feet. He stayed silent, didn't argue, only tried harder, hoping things would change. But the more he tried, the more exhausted he became. Each time he climbed back up the mountain, his legs felt heavy, as if he carried the entire village with him. One afternoon, after a draining trip down the mountain, Ren sat on the back steps, watching the sunset slide into the valley. Master Chiron walked over and quietly sat beside him. He didn't ask anything. He simply watched the fading sky with Ren. After a long silence, the master asked, "When you climb back up the mountain, is it your feet that are tired or your heart?" Ren whispered, "Both, master. But which one is heavier?" Ren's voice cracked, "My heart." The master slowly nodded. "What are you afraid of?" he asked. Ren lowered his head. "I'm afraid that if I stop going to the village, they'll say I'm ungrateful, that I've abandoned my roots, that I'm running away. I don't want them to think I forgot where I came from." Master Chiron pointed to the trail connecting the village to the temple. "Do you see that path?" "Yes. If you wear torn shoes and keep walking in them, sooner or later your feet will bleed. When that happens, you must stop to bandage them. Would anyone call that running away?" Ren froze. The master continued, his voice deep like mountain wind. "You are not abandoning them. You are simply being called to pull your heart back from a place that no longer deserves your peace. Leaving is not an ending. Sometimes leaving is the sign that you've begun to grow, that you finally see where you need to stop." Ren asked softly, "But what if they get angry?" The master smiled gently. "When you take off a pair of tight shoes, the shoes may miss your feet. but you cannot keep wearing them forever. You are not betraying the shoes. Your feet have grown. The shoes have not. A tear rolled down Ren's cheek. The master looked deeply into his eyes. Stay on the mountain for a while. Not to turn your back on them, but to see clearly what you want to use your life for. When your heart is steady, if you want to return, do so with a heart that carries no debt. But if you find that you can only plant goodness by keeping a healthy distance, then that distance is compassion. From that day on, Ren stopped visiting the village every week. At first, the villagers were angry and spoke harshly, but like all strong winds, their anger eventually passed. Time went on. Ren grew steadier, stronger, and one day, looking down at the valley, he understood that his connection with the village had not disappeared. It had simply changed shape. Not close, not entangled, but not resentful either. The story does not end with Ren returning to the village and being welcomed. It ends with Ren meditating on the mountain, sending a silent blessing to the place he once belonged. If there is still a karmic bond, the wind will carry peace back to them. If not, the wind will keep peace here. Ren's story is not to glorify walking away, but to remind us of a deeper wisdom. There are places you must leave, so you do not betray yourself. There are people you must release, so you do not betray the life within you. Leaving is not always running away. Running away is when the heart is full of fear, when you turn your back before learning the lesson. Growing up is when you've seen the truth. You've tried as much as humanly possible. You understand your own limits, and you realize staying longer would only break you further. Then, leaving is not rejecting loyalty. Leaving is respecting the lesson that has completed its part. In Zen, what matters most is not where the body lives, but what the heart is still tied to. Some people live in the same house, yet their hearts have left each other long ago. Only their bodies remain together because of obligation, fear, or pride. Others live far apart, but their hearts still send blessings, without anger, without bitterness. True leaving is not moving houses, changing phone numbers, or switching cities. True leaving is pulling your heart out of a cycle that harms you and keeps others dependent. Modern psychology shows living long-term in a toxic environment keeps the nervous system stuck in survival mode. Fight, flight, freeze. When you leave that environment, the brain initially feels unsafe, making you feel empty, guilty, or tempted to return. But if you stay patient through that phase, a new safe space forms inside you. Then you look back and realize, what I used to call love was really just fear of losing. Buddhism calls this seeing the true nature of craving and attachment. From Ren's story, several life lessons become clear. Not every relationship is meant to be saved to the end. Many people believe, if I love, I must endure until the last moment. Otherwise, I'm disloyal. But sometimes, walking away from a harmful relationship is the greatest gift to both sides. To you, because you stop being drained. To the other person, because they no longer have someone to continue their harmful patterns with. Inner freedom matters more than outer form. The Buddha taught, releasing the outside means nothing if you haven't released the inside. You can separate physically, yet stay mentally entangled. You can live far away, Yet every night, your mind still argues with their shadow. True leaving is not denying what once existed, not romanticizing what was already broken, not carrying the role of forever victim, but acknowledging it is time for the old story to stop here. Neuroscience shows when you make a decision aligned with your true values, for example, leaving a place where you're not respected, the body gradually lowers stress hormones, sleep deepens, and the heartbeat stabilizes. In other words, your body confirms that you are moving in the right direction, even if the initial emotions feel chaotic. When you understand that leaving is not the end, but growth, when you see you are not running away, but withdrawing your heart from a place unworthy of it, the mind stops condemning itself, stops punishing itself, and then a deeper question naturally appears. If everything that happened followed the law of cause and effect, then who is the person who hurt me in the larger picture of karma? Are they simply a bad person? Or are they a kind of messenger bringing the lesson I did not yet dare to face? From here, the journey opens into a new layer. The narcissist is merely the messenger of karma. They carry the lesson you were not yet ready to see. That will be the doorway to the next part, where what once broke you will be seen not only as wounds, but as messages. There is a strange paradox in spiritual life. The people who hurt us the most are often the ones who push us closer to our own truth. When a narcissistic person enters someone's life, the first thing they bring is not pain, but reflection. They mirror back exactly the weak spots we've been avoiding. The fear of being abandoned, the craving to be validated, the emptiness we try to fill with self-sacrifice, the belief that if we just love enough, the other person will change. When we don't yet have the courage to look at the dark corners of our own mind, karma will send a messenger, someone who forces us to face ourselves, to grow up, to wake up, like a mirror full of cracks that still reflects accurately. Where we lack self-worth, where we don't know how to protect ourselves, where we use kindness to beg for love. Buddhist teachings say, in every pain, there is an invitation. If you don't listen with wisdom, life will make you listen through suffering. To shed light on this, let's step into an old story about a student who thought he had been betrayed, but in truth, he had simply met the messenger of his own karma. Long ago, in the Green Mountain Valley, there was a small temple built against a rocky slope. The Zen master there was named Taman, compassionate and quiet, like a morning lake. Among his disciples was a young man named Siru, gentle and hardworking, but carrying many wounds from childhood. Siru grew up in a family that lacked love. He constantly tried to please others just to receive a small word of praise. When he went up the mountain to study the way, he thought he had left the past behind, but in reality, it had only gone to sleep. One spring, a traveler named Mikoto came to the temple asking for shelter. He spoke well, was very knowledgeable, and always appeared friendly. Siru quickly grew fond of him and saw Mikoto as a kindred spirit. Mikoto often told stories that made Siru feel seen and appreciated. You're better than you think. No one understands your dedication the way I do. Without you, everyone in this temple would be missing something. Siru listened and opened his heart completely. But just a few weeks later, Makoto changed. He began to complain, belittle, and criticize. You're really clumsy. Nobody needs you. You bother me too much. He would come close and then pull away, go from warm to cold, sweet to harsh. Siru kept trying harder, hoping Mikoto would turn back into who he was at the beginning. One day, Makoto left without a word. Before leaving the temple, he even told a few other disciples that Siru was selfish and weak. When Siru heard those words, it felt like being punched in the chest. He believed he had been betrayed. He thought Mikoto had come into his life to love him, but instead had come to hurt him. Siru hid in the forest and didn't return to the temple for 3 days. On the 4th day, Master Taman found Siru sitting under a rock wall, eyes swollen from crying. Are you hiding from the pain or hiding from yourself? The master asked. Siru wept. Master, I don't understand why he treated me like that. I was good to him. I cared about him. I never meant to hurt anyone. The master smiled very gently. You think Makoto came here just to be loved by you? Then, if not, what for? Siru asked. The master raised his hand and pointed to the rock wall behind Siru. On it were deep grooves, carved by rain and wind over hundreds of years. Do you see these marks? Yes. The rock didn't scratch itself. It needed wind, rain, and time. The wind is not the enemy of the rock. The wind only reveals the rock's true shape. Siru fell silent. The master continued. Mikoto is the same. He came to stir up in you what you have not dared to face. The fear of being abandoned, the craving for approval, the habit of giving too much in order to earn love. The master bent down and picked up a dry leaf. You are not in pain because Mikoto left. You are in pain because you believe you are not worthy of being stayed with. Tears rolled down Siru's face. This time not from choking grief, but from an understanding that began to soften his heart. The master placed a hand on his shoulder. Makoto is not your soulmate. He is a messenger. The letter he brought says clearly, it is time for you to look at yourself. Siru's story mirrors the lives of many people today. Karmic forces do not come to punish, but to illuminate. Karma is not a hand striking down in anger. Karma is the truth that has been hidden, finding its way back. A narcissistic person appears at the exact moment you are weakest, to point at the place that needs healing the most. The narcissist is a mirror for the parts of you that you fear to see. They reflect your insecurity, your need for approval, your emotional dependence, your compassion without wisdom. It's not that they are powerful. It's that you gave them the key to your inner world. In psychology, this is called a relationship that activates the core wound. When you meet the right person, your nervous system reopens old wounds, forcing you to face them instead of avoiding them. The universe does not send the wrong person. The universe sends the right person to open the right door. The one who hurts you the most is often the one who teaches you most clearly about your own worth. If a narcissistic person has deeply hurt you, it is a clear sign that there is still a part of you that does not know how to love yourself. No one comes to destroy your life. They come to destroy your illusions. The illusions that love means enduring anything. Sacrifice must have no limits. Everyone can be saved through kindness alone. Behavioral research shows when a person is triggered by the exact type of person who hurts them, the brain registers it as an opportunity to heal. Much like the body pushing a shard of glass out of a wound, the feeling of pain is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is right. When you understand that the narcissist is only the messenger of your karma, when you see that they bring the lesson you were not yet brave enough to look at, your heart becomes lighter and resentment starts to fade. Then a deeper realization appears. It's not that you met the wrong person, you met the right lesson. The ancient Zen master Liang Shu once said, "The universe never sends the wrong person, only the wrong expectation." From here, the journey leads to the next questions. How do you stop repeating this cycle? How do you love without losing yourself? The next part will open that door. There are nights when, after all outside sounds fade and only the rhythm of your own heartbeat remains, many people quietly ask themselves, is life unfair for sending the wrong people to me over and over? The wrong person in love, the wrong person as a friend, the wrong person as a partner. Even family members can sometimes make you feel as if you were born into the wrong family. This silent question is not just an emotion, it's a deep wound. If I keep meeting the wrong people, does that mean something is wrong with me? In Buddhist teachings, there is another way to see this, softer yet sharper. It's not that you met the wrong people, you met the right lessons. The ancient Zen master Liang Shu once said, "The universe never sends the wrong person, only the wrong expectation." Those who come into your life, whether they make you laugh or break you, touch exactly the part of your consciousness that you need to examine. If you stand only in the role of victim of the wrong people, you may miss a far larger doorway, the doorway to understanding, wisdom, self-respect, and boundaries. To see this clearly, step into a Zen story, one where a young man believed life was punishing him with the wrong relationships, but later realized life was patiently teaching him through those very people. Long ago, in a remote mountain region, there was a small temple leaning against a cliff, facing a misty valley. In that temple lived an aged Zen master, quietly and gently. People called him Master Ryosen. One evening, as fog settled on the pine branches, a young man named Arata came knocking. His face was tired, his eyes red from sleeplessness. The master opened the door, invited him onto the porch, and poured hot tea. The rising steam looked like the last trail of a fading dream. Arata hesitated. "Master, it feels like life is making fun of me." The master looked at him, waiting. "I've loved the wrong people, trusted the wrong people, followed the wrong people. Every time I open my heart to someone, the ending is always betrayal, exploitation, disrespect. I don't understand. I live sincerely. I don't want to harm anyone. Why do I only meet the wrong people?" The master didn't answer. He gently set his teacup down and pointed toward the temple gate. "Do you see that wooden gate?" "Yes." "If the gate is always open, anyone can walk in. Some bring flowers, some bring trash. The gate does not choose, but the owner of the house inside has the right to decide what to keep, what to let go, and when not to open the gate again." Arata frowned. "So, I opened the gate for the wrong people? The master shook his head. You were not wrong to open the gate. You simply have not learned how to be the master of your own house. He stood up, motioned for Arata to follow, and walked toward a small pond in the courtyard. The water was clear and still, reflecting the clouds above. The master picked up a handful of pebbles and tossed them lightly into the pond. Ripples spread, then slowly faded. Everyone who enters your life is like a stone thrown onto the surface of your mind. If the surface is already filled with dark clouds, the ripples become distorted. But if the water is clear, those ripples help you see the clouds more clearly. Arata sighed. All I see is that I'm too naive. If I had been smarter, I wouldn't have chosen those people. The master neither agreed nor disagreed. He asked gently, when you were young, were you ever abandoned, misunderstood, or compared to others? Arata paused. After a long silence, he nodded. In my family, I always had to try hard just to be seen. No matter how well I did, I still felt not enough. Maybe that's why whenever someone showed interest in me, I gave everything. The master spoke slowly. Then the so-called wrong people you met simply touched the old wound that has been there all along. They came as messengers, delivering a letter you didn't want to read. It is time to look at yourself. It is time to stop living by begging others to approve of your worth. Arata lowered his head, his lips trembling. But it hurts so much. The master nodded. Yes, it hurts deeply, but if it didn't hurt, you would not stop. You would keep opening the door unconditionally, keep giving your entire house to passing visitors. He bent down, cupped some water from the pond in his hand. The water shimmered under the evening light. See? The nature of water is clarity. What makes it cloudy is what gets thrown into it. But only when we see the water become cloudy do we start learning how to purify it. Arata was silent for a long time. Then he asked, So, are all the people who hurt me my teachers? The master said, Buddhist teachings do not call them teachers. They are conditions, karmic conditions. Conditions are the arms of karma and wisdom, bringing exactly the lessons you need. When you haven't learned the lesson yet, the same type of person will return, wearing a different face. That night, Arata sat by the pond for a long time. When he finally rose, he no longer spoke much about the wrong people. He began asking more about the lessons he had not yet learned. He slept in the monks' quarters that night, and for the first time in many months, slept without a nightmare. Arata's story is not rare. In one way or another, everyone has a phase where they feel they keep meeting the wrong people. A lover who only takes, never gives. Friends who exploit your kindness. Family members who use guilt to control. Co-workers who use you as a shield. If you stay in blame, either blaming the world or blaming yourself, you fall into two extremes, freezing your heart with bitterness or sinking into shame and believing you have no worth. Buddhism takes another path. It does not deny the pain, but it also does not let the pain obscure the wider picture of karma and wisdom. Master Liang Shu said, "The universe never sends the wrong person, only the wrong expectation. People come into your life for a reason, partly because of past karma, partly because of your present patterns. Suffering doesn't come from who they are, but from what you expect them to be. Expecting someone who cannot love to love you completely. Expecting someone who only knows how to take to suddenly start giving. Expecting someone who cannot see themselves to understand the depth of your soul. When expectations are misplaced, you call it meeting the wrong people. When you look deeper, you see. What seeds inside you drew this type of person into your life? Someone who only exploits cannot stay long in the life of a person who knows how to say no. But they can stay for years in the life of someone who fears abandonment, fears being disliked, fears rejection. Not because the other person is strong, but because inside you, there is always a door left open. A door named, "Please show me I am worthy." The narcissist, the controller, the neglectful person, all become messengers of karma, helping you see which cracks inside you keep asking for validation, which beliefs keep you in places lacking respect, which habits make you confuse love with endurance. Psychology calls this the compulsion to repeat, the unconscious tendency to repeat old patterns, hoping this time the outcome will be different. If, as a child, you were abandoned, you may later feel drawn to cold, inconsistent people. The unconscious thinks, if I do better this time, this person won't leave. But repetition is not for proving you're good enough for someone else. Repetition exists so you realize it's time to stop and heal instead of trying again. When the lesson is learned, the old pattern dissolves. The same type of people appear less often, or even if they do, you no longer get pulled in. From the story and the teachings, a few practical truths emerge. Instead of asking, "Why do I keep meeting the wrong people?" ask, "What is this person showing me about myself?" A single shift in the question changes the entire direction of consciousness. You move from victimhood to learning. Instead of expecting others to treat you right, expect yourself to stop when you're disrespected, step back when your heart is drained, say no to unreasonable demands. Neuroscience shows that when you reinterpret an experience from disaster to lesson, the brain's fear response decreases, and the areas for reasoning and emotional regulation become stronger. In other words, seeing someone as a messenger of a lesson rather than the one who ruined your life calms your nervous system and eases your heart. When you realize you did not meet the wrong people, you met the right lessons. When you understand that the universe never sends the wrong person, only the wrong expectation, you blame yourself less, resent life less, and begin walking with clearer eyes and a wiser heart. But there is one more truth. A lesson rarely comes just once. There will be people and situations that repeat like carved lines, forcing you to learn an even harder truth. Boundaries are also a form of compassion. Every wound you carry is not there to hurt you. It is there to open your eyes. Like the story of the young monk Kosei, who was betrayed 3 times before learning one essential truth. Boundaries are a part of compassion. Kosei's story is the next doorway, where old wounds stop being signs of failure and become the map that leads you back to self-respect and true self-kindness. There are wounds that don't draw blood, yet they open a door you never dared to walk through before. Many people carry the pain of betrayal, abandonment, or unfair treatment, and believe these things happened as a punishment. But have you ever wondered, what if those wounds were sent to wake you up? There are moments in life that make you ask, why do I have to endure this? What did I do wrong? Why does the person I trusted the most hurt me? The truth is, sometimes pain doesn't come to drown you. It comes to show you what comfort could never teach. Like a flash of lightning in the night, bright, sudden, frightening. But thanks to it, you see the landscape clearly for a brief second. In Zen teachings, ancient masters often said, pain is not the enemy, it is the knock of understanding. To illuminate this, there's a very old Zen story about a monk named Kosei. A man betrayed 3 times, only to understand what years of quiet practice could not reveal. Long ago, in a mountain region veiled in thick mist, there was a monastery hidden behind a bamboo forest. There lived Kosei, a gentle, honest monk who believed that if you simply did good, the world would return good to you. One winter morning, when snow covered the temple grounds, a young traveler knocked on the gate asking for shelter. Kosei opened the door without hesitation, invited him to the fire, and shared the last portion of his meal. The first time, the first loss. By the next morning, the traveler was gone. So was the precious cloth bag Kosei had spent years saving for to buy Buddhist scriptures. Kosei did not get angry. He only felt sadness. He whispered, perhaps he needed it more than I did. People in the monastery said he was too naive, but Kosei simply smiled. He still believed in human goodness. The second time, when trust begins to break, years later, during a great flood, Kosei met the traveler again, this time disguised as a monk to deceive the villagers. Kosei recognized him instantly but still continued to help. One night, the traveler stole the temple's medicine supplies to sell to traders in the valley. The villagers found out and assumed Kosei was his accomplice. Kosei was scolded, distrusted, and pushed away by the very people he had helped for years. He sat by the river, watching muddy water carry the dry leaves away. For the first time, he wondered, does kindness really save anyone? Or does it only make me a target for those who want to take advantage? The third time, the final lesson, more time passed. Kosei left the monastery and moved to another temple, living quietly. One day, a lost child came seeking help, hungry and frightened. Kosei didn't know someone was watching from behind the bamboo trees. The same traveler from years ago. This time, he wanted to see whether Kosei's kindness had changed. When night came, he broke into the meditation room, searching for anything valuable. But Kosei happened to return. Their eyes met. The traveler waited for anger, shouting punishment. But Kosei simply said, you may take whatever you need, but that child needs to be brought home. The traveler trembled. He burst into tears. After harming Kosei 3 times, this was the first time he realized that true goodness is not weak. It is strong enough to make even the one who causes pain bow down. He returned everything and knelt before Kosei. Why do you forgive me? Kosei replied, I am not forgiving you. I am placing my boundary where it belongs. You no longer have the power to hurt me, but I still have the power not to make you worse. The story of Kosei reveals a difficult truth. Some people appear in your life not to love you, but to mark where your boundaries must be. Many people confuse 2 things: letting go and abandoning. compassion, and permissiveness. Kosei was betrayed 3 times, yet he did not become bitter. He simply learned not to let anyone cross the line that could harm him again. Psychology tells us that betrayal activates the social pain center in the brain, the same area that processes physical pain, meaning a betrayal hurts as much as a cut, but those pains also help the brain develop emotional intelligence and risk recognition. Because of them, you learn who deserves you and who does not. You learn to protect yourself, to stop sacrificing your well-being to please others. In Buddhist teachings, this is called insight born from suffering, the kind of wisdom you cannot gain when life is always easy. Each emotional wound, betrayal, disappointment, broken trust, is a Dharma gate, opening you to new understanding. When you are hurt, you learn. Kindness must have limits. Compassion does not mean letting others harm you. Letting go is an act of strength, not weakness. Boundaries are not a lack of love. Boundaries are a form of compassion. A modern study shows people with clear boundaries experience 40% less stress, sleep 28% deeper, and are far less likely to fall into cycles of toxic relationships. Why? Because their minds are no longer torn between love and resentment, trust and fear. They know when to stop. They save their energy for what truly deserves it. And now, if you are lying awake at night with a heavy heart, let your breath soften. Look at your old wounds the way you would look at a streak of light on a still lake. They didn't come to drag you down. They came to guide you toward awareness. Zen masters often teach, see every pain as a bell. When it rings, listen, don't run. Place your hand over your chest and feel your heartbeat easing. This is the sign that you are reclaiming the sovereignty of your life, your mind, your boundaries. Each wound is not meant to weaken you. It comes to open your eyes, to show you who truly deserves to walk beside you and who should stop at the gate of your heart. And from here, you will understand something even deeper. A narcissist does not destroy your trust. They reveal where you place that trust wrongly. And once you see that, you rise to a new level of wisdom. Just like Kosei after his 3 betrayals, you too will come to understand the nature of boundaries and compassion. Now, let us step into the next story, where an ancient Zen master explains why some people appear in your life not to love you, but to illuminate the hidden corners you have avoided for too long. There are phases in life when, after stepping out of a deeply painful relationship, many people sigh and say, "Someone like that has destroyed my trust in people." It sounds reasonable. When you've been lied to, used, and disrespected, who wouldn't silently swear, "From now on, I won't trust anyone anymore." But if you look a little deeper, you'll see something else. That person never actually destroyed the trust inside you. They only exposed where you had placed your trust in the wrong place. Trust is like light. When you shine light on mud, you only see mud. But the light doesn't become mud just because it shines on it. In the same way, your capacity to trust, to love, to connect is still there. What truly got hurt was not your heart that knows how to trust, but the illusion of where it should be placed. Buddhist teachings often remind us of right trust, trust that is placed in the right place, accompanied by wisdom. It is not always good to trust a lot. Trusting in the wrong place only exhausts you. Trust that goes with wisdom is the kind of trust that leads you to freedom. To see this more clearly, let's walk through a Zen story about a student who thought someone had betrayed his trust, but then realized he himself had never learned how to place his trust correctly. Long ago, in a misty mountain region, there was a small temple perched on the edge of a cliff. The only path leading up to it crossed a wooden bridge over a deep ravine. In the temple lived an old Zen master with silver hair and gentle eyes that shone like the late-night moon. Everyone called him Master Jinan. One day, a young man named Raku came to stay and study. Raku had been betrayed many times. A former lover who deceived him, a close friend who used him, a family member who used his trust to control him. Raku climbed up to the temple with a heart full of scars. He told the master, "I don't trust anyone anymore. Anyone who comes close can hurt me." Master Jinan did not argue. He simply invited Raku to stay, work, chant, and meditate like everyone else. One evening, when the fog was thick and the wind was strong, the master called Raku out to the veranda. "Someone down in the valley just sent word that they will come up here tonight," the master said. "Can you go down to the bridge, hold a torch, wait for them, and guide them up?" Raku hesitated. "At night, the path is dangerous. What if they don't come?" The master only smiled. "Just go. Whether they come or not is a matter of causes and conditions." Raku reluctantly obeyed, took a torch, and walked down the steep path. He stood waiting at the head of the wooden bridge. The wind blew hard. The flame flickered. Time passed, and no one appeared. Raku began to get angry. "Here we go again. People say they will come and then they don't. I'm the fool standing here waiting." Eventually, he went back full of frustration. The next morning, the master asked, "How long did you wait last night?" "I don't know. I only saw that they said it and didn't do it." The master neither blamed nor praised him. He just stayed quiet. A few days later, the master called Raku again. "Tonight, go down to the bridge once more. But this time, you're not waiting for a stranger. You're waiting for yourself." Raku was surprised. "What does that mean?" The master handed him a small hourglass. "Plant the torch. Place this hourglass beside you. While the sand runs through once, just stay there and observe your own mind. Don't wait for anyone. Don't hope anyone will come." That night, Raku went down to the bridge again. He stuck the torch into a rock and set the hourglass at his feet. At first, the old thoughts returned. What if no one comes again? What if the master is just testing me? What if every time I have trusted people, it has always been a mistake? But this time, Raku remembered the instruction. Just observe the mind. Don't chase the thoughts. The wind kept blowing. The fire kept burning. The sand in the hourglass fell grain by grain, like the footsteps of time. When the sand ran out, Raku put out the torch and walked back up to the temple. The master asked, "How was tonight different from the other night?" Raku replied, "Tonight, I didn't feel like anyone tricked me. I was just there with the torch and with myself." The master nodded. "Your trust has never been destroyed by anyone. You only placed it in people you didn't truly understand, then blamed yourself and blamed life. Tonight, you practiced placing trust in your own ability to be fully present. That is the root. Sometime later, a traveler came to the temple in the afternoon, saying he would go down the mountain at night and asking Raku to guide him with a torch. When night fell, it was drizzling and cold. Raku went to the bridge with a torch damp from the mist. He waited. After a while, the traveler appeared, but he was clearly drunk, staggering, his words unclear. Raku suddenly felt uneasy. The path across the bridge was slippery, with a dark abyss below. He understood that if he tried to lead this person across, both of them could be in danger. Raku took a deep breath and said, "Tonight the path is too dangerous. For both our safety, it's better to wait until morning." The traveler became angry and cursed. "You don't keep your word. I asked you to guide me and now you abandon me." In the past, Raku would likely have tried to please the other person just to keep the image of being a good person. But this time, he stood firm. You can be angry. You can curse. But life is not a game. I hold this boundary not because I hate you, but because I respect us both. The traveler walked away in anger. Raku returned to the temple with a strangely light heart. When Master Jinan heard what happened, he simply said, "That is when your trust is no longer blind. You can still open your heart, but you now know where to stop. That person did not destroy the trust within you. They only helped you see that trust does not always mean giving in." The story of Raku and the wooden bridge is a metaphor for the lives of many people. Often after a toxic relationship, you think, that person made me lose my faith in love, in friends, in people. But if you look closely, you will see you still want to be loved. You still want to connect. You still want to be understood and trusted. Your capacity to trust and to love has not disappeared. It's just that now it is no longer naive. It is searching for a way to become wisdom. Buddhism teaches about ignorance, not seeing the true nature of things. Part of ignorance is the illusion we project onto others. You see a few gentle gestures and immediately paint over them with an entire picture. This person must be good. This person will never hurt me. This person is different from everyone before, but you do not really see clearly their level of emotional maturity, whether they can take responsibility for their actions, whether they know how to respect boundaries. When the illusion breaks, you think your trust has been destroyed. In fact, what was broken was the dream you created about them, not your ability to trust and love. In Buddhism, faith goes with wisdom. Trust is not closing your eyes, surrendering, and handing your whole life into someone else's hands. Trust is knowing clearly what you are trusting, knowing clearly who the other person really is, and accepting their limits as well. Healthy trust doesn't promise that you will never be hurt. It simply helps you know how to get back up and learn what you need to learn every time you fall. Psychology shows that people who have been betrayed, if they choose to heal, later often become better at recognizing safe people than those who have never been hurt. Why? Because they know what betrayal feels like. They recognize red flags. They understand the value of boundaries, and they know how to listen to their own intuition. In other words, Someone who has been hurt, if they walk through it in the right way, can become wise, not someone who has lost all trust. From this story and these teachings, we can draw a few practical points. Don't rush to conclude, "I don't trust anyone anymore." This sentence is like a defense mechanism of the mind. What you're really saying is, "I'm afraid of trusting wrong again. I'm afraid of putting my trust in a place that doesn't deserve it." You don't hate trust. You're just afraid of being hurt again. Knowing this, you can be gentler with yourself and no longer need to pretend to be cold and uncaring to feel protected. Learn to ask questions before you place your trust. Before giving too much of yourself to someone, take one step back. Is this person consistent between their words and actions? When they're angry, do they respect limits, or do they become abusive or insulting? Do they know how to apologize and take responsibility when they are wrong? These questions don't make love less beautiful. They simply make love less blind. Brain research shows when a person experiences a shock to their trust, the fear center, the amygdala, becomes highly active. If afterward they receive support, understanding, and learn to reframe the experience as a lesson, activity in that region gradually decreases, while the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles reason and self-awareness, becomes more active. This means when you reinterpret betrayal as an opportunity to learn how to place wise trust, your brain actually changes. You're not just thinking differently, you are becoming different. Nighttime is when old memories return most easily. Promises that were never kept. Messages that were never answered. The way someone turned away when you needed them most. Instead of trying to push them away, you can practice a small exercise before sleep. 1. Lie still. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. 2. Breathe in slowly. Feel your belly rise. Breathe out long. Let your shoulders soften. 3. Recall someone who once made you lose trust. 4. Instead of replaying the old story, silently say, "That person showed me where I placed my trust in the wrong place. From here on, I learned to trust more wisely, more gently, more clearly." You don't need to force forgiveness right away. You don't need to force yourself to feel grateful when you're not ready. You only need a small shift in perspective. From "they destroyed me" to "they exposed what I needed to learn." Repeat this for a few breaths until your body starts to soften and your eyelids grow heavy. Then sleep is no longer an escape from the past, but a time for your body and mind to recover after a day of facing yourself. When you realize that a narcissist, or anyone who has hurt you, has not truly destroyed the trust inside you, but only revealed where you placed it wrongly, your heart begins to feel lighter. From there, a new door opens. Not every feeling you have for someone is something you must hold on to forever. Not everyone who makes your heart flutter is someone you are meant to walk with until the end. Letting go of illusions is the first step toward genuine love. Master Ryosen taught, "Not everyone you love is someone you are meant to keep." And that will be the next story, where illusions are peeled away layer by layer, so love no longer becomes an excuse for enduring pain, but returns to being a path of freedom, respect, and clarity. There is a paradox that anyone who has ever loved has probably experienced at least once, We believe that the deeper we love, the tighter we should hold on. But the tighter we hold on, the more love becomes distorted and loses its natural lightness. And there is an even deeper paradox. A heart that feels a strong attraction to someone does not always mean that person is meant to stay in your life for a long time. Zen Master Ryosen once said a sentence that sounds gentle but has awakened many people. Not everyone you love is someone you are meant to keep. That sentence is like a mirror turning the truth face up. Love itself does not cause pain. It is our illusion about love that wears us out, the illusion that the other person will change, the illusion that you just need to try a little harder, the illusion that loving a lot is enough to save a relationship that is already cracked. But illusion cannot nourish happiness. It only makes you cling to a picture that isn't real until you lose yourself. To make this clearer, let's step into an old Zen story where a student has to go through 3 awakenings to understand. True love is not about holding on, but about seeing clearly and letting go at the right time. In an ancient valley where pine forests whispered day and night, there was a small temple called Satori Inn, nestled against the mountainside. The abbot was Master Session, known for not preaching with words, but with everyday challenges. One day, a young woman named Leon came to the temple. Her face was gently beautiful, but her eyes were cloudy like a lake before the rain. She bowed before the master and said, "I love someone very deeply. But the more I love him, the less peace I have. I hold on to him with all my heart, but he comes and goes whenever he wants. I feel like a bouquet of flowers hidden away in the dark." Master Session looked at her for a long moment and replied, "Stay here for 3 days. I will show you something you have never seen." The master handed her a bouquet of white lotuses and instructed, "Today, keep this bouquet in your room with all the doors closed. You may only care for it with the warmth of your hands and your fondness for it." Leon did as she was told. All day she sat in the darkened room, holding the bouquet in her hands, believing that her feelings alone would be enough to keep the flowers fresh. But by evening, the petals had wilted and the white had turned to gray. She brought the bouquet to the master, her voice choked. "I held it with all my heart. Why did it still wither?" The master simply said, "The flower does not live on your heart. It lives on light." The next morning, the master gave her another bouquet. "Today, place it outside under the eaves. Don't touch it. Don't try to hold it. Just leave it where there is sun and wind." Leon did as he said. In the afternoon, she returned and saw the bouquet blooming more fully than in the morning. The petals had opened slightly, revealing the bright yellow center inside. She was surprised. "I didn't do anything at all, yet it bloomed so beautifully." The master smiled. "Because the light came from the sky, not from your effort to hold on." On the last day, the master gave her a 3rd bouquet and said, "Take it and walk along the path down the mountain. When the wind blows hard and the flowers slip from your hands, stop there." Leon walked down the mountain. The valley wind grew stronger in waves. At one bend, the wind rose fiercely. The bouquet slipped from her hands and rolled down the hillside. Startled, she ran after it but couldn't reach it. The bouquet lay among dry grass. The master appeared right then. As if he had known exactly what would happen, she burst into tears. I tried to hold on to it, but the wind was too strong. The master asked, "Are you at fault because the wind was strong?" "No." "Is anyone at fault for not being able to keep what was never meant to stay?" Lian stood silent. Slowly, the truth opened in her heart, like the sun coming through the clouds. She hadn't lost the bouquet. She had simply stopped trying to hold on to something that was never going to remain. The story of the 3 bouquets is a metaphor for 3 kinds of love that people often get caught in. Love based on illusion, the bouquet in the dark. You believe that if you just love enough, the other person will change. But like the bouquet hidden in a room, the more you hold on, the more it fades. 2. Love based on respect. The bouquet under the eaves. When you give the other person space, when you love with clarity instead of control, the relationship can breathe on its own. 3. Love based on wisdom. The bouquet that falls from your hand. When something cannot be held, you understand it was never truly yours. Letting go is not failure. Letting go is an act of wisdom. Buddhism calls this seeing things as they truly are. Seeing the true nature of conditions, not adding, not subtracting, not coloring them with hope or fear. Awakening does not make love less beautiful. Awakening simply keeps love from turning into an addiction to emptiness and illusion. From this story, there are 3 practical lessons. 1. The one you love is not always the one you should keep, because holding on to someone who does not know how to love you properly means losing yourself, not saving the relationship. 2. Love without the light of respect is just attachment. In psychology, this is called trauma bonding. A bond rooted in fear, deprivation, and wounding, not in genuine love. 3. Scientific research shows people who set clear boundaries in love have cortisol, stress hormone, levels about 23% lower than those who always endure and force themselves to hold on. Which means letting go in the right place is also a way of protecting your own health. When you understand that letting go of illusion is not losing love, but making room for real love, your heart begins to feel lighter, and then you will realize something even deeper. The narcissists and the loud, chaotic people who once passed through your life did not only bring you pain, they also helped you recognize the value of stillness. Because only after their noise fades do you learn how to listen to your own heart, and that will be the doorway into the next story, where stillness is no longer a frightening empty space, but a bright ground on which you can finally see yourself clearly. There are some relationships that are so noisy that when you finally step out of them, what's left inside you is not hatred, but a strange kind of emptiness. In that emptiness, many people say almost the same sentence. Right now, I just want peace. I don't want to argue, don't want to explain, don't want to fight with anyone anymore. A narcissistic person brings a lot of damage. They are loud, demanding, always needing to be the center of attention. But if you look deeper, you'll see they also bring a strange kind of gift. After their noise, you finally start to hear the quiet inside yourself. Buddhist teachings say that the noise outside is not as dangerous as the noise inside the mind. A person can live in the middle of a market and still be at peace inside. Another person can live in a very quiet house, yet inside always feels like there is a storm. So how do you go from the storm stirred up by someone else back to the still surface of the lake within you? To understand this, let's step into a Zen story about someone who was exhausted from living next to a narcissist, but in the end found herself again in silence. Long ago, in a town near a harbor, there was an artist named Kaoru. He was handsome, spoke beautifully, and wherever he went, he brought laughter and praise for himself. People in the town called him Kaoru the Drum, because wherever he appeared, it was as noisy as a festival drum. Among those pulled into his glow was a young woman named Emmy. Emmy was gentle, worked as a weaver, spoke little, and lived simply. The first time she heard Kaoru sing in the marketplace, she felt her heart tremble. He looked straight into her eyes and smiled confidently. "You are the first person who can look at me without blinking. You understand me more than the others." With just that one sentence, Emmy believed she was the special one. From then on, she followed Kaoru, taking care of his meals, his clothes, his sleep. But the closer she got, the more she realized Kaoru didn't truly see her. He only saw his own reflection in the eyes of other people. When Emmy was tired, Kaoru said, "If you really love me, you should be stronger." When Emmy was sad, Kaoru said, "You're making the atmosphere heavy. I need someone to inspire me, not drag my energy down." Every time Emmy tried to share her feelings, everything turned back to Kaoru. His feelings, his needs, his ego. Emmy started to doubt herself. Maybe I really am too sensitive. Maybe I really am bothering him. Kaoru's drum only got louder. Endless all-night parties, constant bragging, endless demands to be admired. Meanwhile, inside Emmy, everything felt dried up. She could no longer hear her own inner voice. One night, after a loud party, Emmy stood alone by the harbor. The waves hit the shore steadily. For the first time in a long time, she realized, I don't even know what I like, what I need, where I'm tired, where I'm hurting. I only know how to revolve around one person. The next day, a group of merchants from the mountains came to trade. Among them was a traveler in a brown robe with a calm presence. He didn't buy much, didn't sell much. Most of the time, he just stood quietly, looking at the water. Seeing Emmy sitting silently at her loom, her eyes like the light had gone out, he asked, "Why do you look at the threads as if you're looking at something very far away?" Emmy was startled. It had been a very long time since anyone asked her a question that was about her. She told him about Kaoru, about the noise, about the strange exhaustion she couldn't name. After listening, the traveler simply said, "On Mount Anrei, there is a small temple. In its courtyard, there is a pond. Whoever stays there long enough will hear their own heart again. If you want, you can go up there for a while." Emmy answered bitterly, "But if I leave, who will stay to take care of Kaoru?" The traveler looked at her. If you fall into a ravine, whose hand will you grab to pull yourself up? That question cut straight through the fog in Emmy's mind. That night, in the middle of Kaoru and his friends' loud laughter, Emmy stood up, took only a few clothes, and left the town. The road up Mount Anrei was steep and rocky. Emmy walked in silence. For the first time in many months, there was no drum, no fake laughter, no one who needed to be praised. At the gate of the temple, Emmy met an old Zen master. People called him Master Genshu. He led Emmy to the back courtyard, where there was a clear pond surrounded by moss-covered stones. "Stay here," the master said. "Every morning, just come sit by the pond. Don't do anything, just sit and listen." Emmy was surprised. "Listen to what? There's no music here, no voices." The master looked at the pond and replied, "Exactly. That's why you can hear." In the first days, Emmy felt incredibly uncomfortable. In the silence, the inner noise inside her started to rise up. Kaoru's accusations, the words she had heard about herself, images of arguments and conflicts. Sometimes, Emmy wanted to run back down the mountain, back to the familiar noise. At least there she had something to cling to. The silence made her face herself too clearly. Seeing this restlessness, the master said, "When you live next to a drum for too long, silence feels like a frightening empty space. But keep staying. The noise will rise up one last time to be seen, and then it will go." One morning, the mountain wind blew strongly. The pond's surface rippled, then turned choppy. Emmy looked down and panicked. "The pond has been ruined by the wind today. It's not clear anymore." The master asked, "Do you see the water disappear?" "No, it's just not clear like before," the master said slowly. "The wind is like the narcissist in your life. They stir up the surface of your life, but the nature of the water is still water. When the wind stops, the pond will be still again. The problem is not the wind. The problem is that you forget the stillness underneath the waves is still there." Emmy stayed quiet for a long time. Slowly, she understood. Kaoru was only the wind. Her mind, if she knew how to return to it, could still be like the calm pond. That night, for the first time in many months, Emmy slept deeply. She no longer dreamed of arguments or loud drums, only forests, water, and a simple sense of peace. Emmy's story is a small picture of many people who have lived next to a narcissist. A narcissist is like a drum. They need to be hit constantly. They need others to soothe and praise them. They need all eyes to be on them. They create emotional noise, drama, anger, demands, pulling people in, playing the victim. Living next to them for a long time, you get so used to that noise that when it's quiet, you feel something is missing. When there's no drama, you feel empty. When things are still, you feel uneasy. Buddhism calls this habit energy. Deep ingrained patterns in the mind. You don't just get used to them, you get used to the chaos they bring, and yet, that very chaos is the chance for you to realize the value of stillness. If you had never been exhausted by noise, how would you know how precious stillness is? Zen teachings often talk about mindfulness. The ability to come back to your breath, your body, the present moment. When mindfulness is present, you begin to tell the difference between this is someone else's noise, this is my mind's reaction, and this is the deepest voice inside, the voice of intuition, wisdom, and conscience. The narcissist can make the surface of your life's pond rough, but they cannot destroy the pure nature of the water. They only make you forget where that pond is. From this story, there are some very practical points for daily life. Don't confuse noise with life. Many people are so used to stressful environments that when things are peaceful, they feel empty. They mistake fighting for love, control for care, jealousy for proof of affection. In reality, those are just forms of noise. Real life is very quiet, like the breath going in and out, like a steady heartbeat, like the morning sunlight arriving without any announcement. Stillness is not coldness. The stillness that Buddhism talks about is not freezing your feelings and not the silent treatment of Cold War. Stillness means not reacting too quickly, not letting someone else drag you into their storm, not letting outside noise decide your inner worth. Some people refuse to argue, not because they are weak, but because they are finally grown enough not to waste their energy on what is meaningless. Modern psychology shows that when you live in constant drama and noise, the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight state, is overactivated. You are more likely to have insomnia, anxiety, and irritability. By contrast, when you are in a quiet space, practicing deep breathing, listening to simple natural sounds like wind, water, leaves, the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and restore state, is activated. Your heart rate slows, your body relaxes, and your brain enters deeper sleep more easily. This means stillness is not just a spiritual idea. It is a direct medicine for your body and your brain. When you understand that, the narcissist helped you see the value of stillness, because only after their noise could you hear your own heart. Something important starts to grow. You no longer need to blame them forever, and you don't need to romanticize the past either. You simply recognize they are the drum, you are the pond, and returning to your inner stillness is the greatest gift you can give your life. From here, a deeper step opens up, daring to look at the truth that some people will never really listen to you. The truth that some relationships were built on illusion. The truth that at times, you were the one who abandoned your own inner voice. Seeing painful truths is the beginning of wisdom. As the old Zen master Haku Ryu once said, even a small truth can save more karma than a sweet lie, and that will be the doorway to the next story, where truth is no longer an enemy, but becomes the lamp that lights the path of real healing. There are moments in life when truth does not appear as a gentle light, but as a blade cutting down, cold, sharp, and piercing all the way to the bottom of your heart. People are often afraid of truth because it usually carries loss, sacrifice, and things we do not want to face. Yet the paradox is this: only truth can set a person free. A sweet lie can help us live a few more days in illusion, But it is that very lie that prolongs the cycles of suffering we think we have already escaped. Truth is compact, but it demands courage. Lies are soft, but they tangle the mind, like a silkworm wrapping itself in the cocoon it spun. In life, when a relationship breaks down, when someone betrays your trust, when you realize the person you love never loved you the way you imagined, or when you clearly see that someone is not worthy of your heart, the first thing that usually shows up is not wisdom, but pain. Yet it is exactly that pain that becomes the gateway to the deepest wisdom, if you are calm enough to look straight into it. It is like early winter sunlight shining on a frozen lake. The surface begins to melt, but underneath, the water is still moving quietly. Truth is like that. It does not come to destroy, but to open. To illuminate this, there is an old Zen story that took place in a snowy mountain region in the east, where winter lasted half the year, and the night wind always swept across the temple roof like the whispers of heaven and earth. In those days, at an old temple called Haku-in, there was a young novice monk named Jun. Jun was known for being gentle, respectful, and deeply devoted to his practice. Everyone believed that one day, Jun would become the one to carry on the temple's Zen lineage, but Jun carried a secret in his heart. He had a quiet love for a girl in the village at the foot of the mountain, named Shiori. That feeling was not wrong, but it made his mind restless. Jun often sat for hours by the stream, thinking about Shiori instead of practicing meditation. One winter night, when the snow was falling so heavily that the whole forest turned pure white, Shiori ran up to the temple. She was crying and knelt before Zen master Haku-ryu, the abbot, who had already lived more than half a lifetime. "Please save Jun," she said through her sobbing. "Jun is on his way down the mountain to find me, but I am about to leave this place forever. I'm afraid he'll get stuck in the snowstorm tonight." Zen Master Haku-ryu did not answer. He quietly lit a candle and placed it by a small window that faced the mountain path. The wind blew so hard that the flame almost went out. Outside, the sound of snow hitting the temple roof echoed like nature's warning. After a while, Jun appeared at the gate. His whole body was soaked and frozen, his eyes red from the wind and from the fear of losing the one he loved. Shiori turned away, not daring to look at Jun. Jun stepped inside and bowed to the Zen master. "I know my heart is no longer pure, master," Jun said, "but I cannot bear the truth that Shiori will leave me. Please give me your guidance." The Zen master did not scold him. He simply handed Jun a cracked bronze mirror. "What do you see?" "I see my reflection, but split into two halves." "That's right. This mirror has been cracked for a long time, but you only see the crack when you look into it. Truth is the same. It doesn't wait until you are ready. It just lies there quietly until you have enough courage to face it." Jun began to tremble. No one knew whether it was from the cold or from suddenly touching the truth he had been avoiding for so long. The Zen master continued, "You are not in pain because Shiori is leaving. You are in pain because you are clinging to the image you created of her. Your love is not wrong. What is wrong is wanting to keep something that does not belong to you." Those words rang like a bell in the night. Shiori stepped forward and placed a wool scarf from the village into Jun's hands. "Live for your path," she whispered. "What we feel for each other is beautiful, but it is not what will sustain you on your journey in Zen practice." Jun collapsed to his knees. His tears fell, but this time they were not from despair, but from awakening. That night, the snow continued to fall heavily, but inside Jun, a layer of ice had already begun to melt. The story seems simple, but it carries many deep layers of meaning. Truth is the cracked mirror. It is not pretty, not smooth, not dazzling, but it reflects accurately, and it is that accuracy that frees a person from illusion. On the spiritual path and in life, there are 3 kinds of painful truth that people most often avoid. 1. The truth about others. They are not who you thought they were. 2. The truth about yourself. You are more vulnerable than you believed. 3. The truth about impermanence. Nothing belongs to you forever. The greatest pain does not come from losing something, but from having to dismantle what you once believed with all your heart. The collapse of a belief can hurt even more than the end of a relationship. If you pay attention, you will notice there are always 2 voices inside you. One voice that wants to chase what is sweet. One voice that wants to stop and look directly at reality. Zen teaches that wisdom begins when you choose the second voice. Modern psychology also confirms that the human brain always creates an emotional safety zone by clinging to familiar illusions. That is why truth always causes a pain reaction, like sensitive skin touching salt water. But salt water is exactly what helps wounds heal fastest. Truth is the same. From Jun's story, there are 4 big lessons. Pain is not the enemy. It is the doorway to wisdom. A wise heart is not a heart that has never been hurt, but one that knows how to learn from its hurt. Nobody belongs to anybody. People come, people go. Everything is conditioned by causes and conditions. If the bond is deep, you don't need to hold on and they still stay. If the bond is thin, holding on won't stop them from leaving. Love does not destroy meditation. Only attachment damages the mind. Truth is the inner light. When you look directly at it, everything becomes clear, and from there you know where to place your next step. Neuroscience shows that when a person faces a difficult truth, the brain activates the region responsible for reality assessment, helping them become more alert and clear-headed. This is exactly what Zen has taught for thousands of years. Facing truth directly is the first step toward liberation. When you face truth, your mind will go through many waves: resistance, anger, sadness, emptiness, and finally, peace. In meditation, we neither push emotions away nor hold on to them. We observe them, like watching clouds pass across the sky. No judgment, no chasing. Before going to sleep, you only need to place your hand on your chest, breathe slowly and quietly ask yourself, what truth is calling me to face it today? Let your shoulders soften. Let the tension in your forehead go. Allow your breath to guide your mind back to that original stillness. When the mind accepts truth, sleep becomes lighter, no longer filled with silent arguments in your head. Sometimes truth makes the heart ache, but it is exactly that ache that reminds you that you are still alive, still learning, still growing. Zen master Hakuryu was right. Even a small truth can save a lifetime of karma because it stops the long chain of mistakes from continuing. And when you clearly see truth, you also clearly see the people who once hurt you. Not to blame them, but to understand. They were simply mirrors that helped you grow in stillness. We have walked together through a path that is not easy, but necessary. The path of looking back at why you were placed in the life of a narcissistic person. And now, as the layers of truth have been revealed, you can see one thing clearly. The wounds you went through were not meant to make you collapse, but to awaken you to stand up on your own 2 feet. In the teachings, it is said, karmic conditions never fall into the wrong place. Only our mind is not yet ready to understand. A narcissist enters your life not to take away your worth, but to reveal the boundaries you need to learn to set. It is not that they are strong. It is that you have been too gentle. It is not that you are less. It is that you have been using your heart to try to heal a deep hole that was never yours to fix. Through all the noise, all the turmoil, all the broken expectations, it is you, not anyone else, who has found the way back to the quiet of your own inner being. Like an oil lamp in a stormy night, the more it is tested, the steadier its flame becomes. The narcissist is only the one who opens the door, but stepping through or not, that choice belongs to you. And when you choose to walk toward freedom, you become a clearer, stronger, and more truthful version of yourself. Zen teaches, when the heart stops resisting, wisdom begins to bloom. Let today's lessons become seeds that help you see life more clearly, live more peacefully, and love with more wisdom. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for having the courage to face the truth that many people avoid. Your presence on this journey is something sacred. If today's teachings and stories have brought you a lighter heart, more wakefulness, or even just one softer breath, the Zen Master deeply appreciates that. Please subscribe to the Buddhism Seeds channel. Click like, share this with those who need healing, and leave a comment below so we can grow together in mindfulness. Now place your hand over your heart. Let your shoulders relax. Breathe in deeply and breathe out gently. May you have a peaceful night's sleep, deep and calm like a still lake under the moon. Sleep well.